Gentlemen, a very warm welcome to all to the IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj Memorial Lecture. We begin the program with the welcome remarks of the President, IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Juzer Khorakiwala. May I request Mr. Khorakiwala to please present his welcome remarks?
Thank you and good evening, everybody. Mr. Bajaj, Mr. Lulla, Mr. Pradeep Chennai, Mr. Anand Singhania, distinguished panel members, Mr. Mehta and Mrs. Kalro. On behalf of the IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, it gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to the first IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj Memorial Lecture. The IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Award Trust is at an important milestone this year. It sees the completion of an uninterrupted 25 award cycles, showcasing and recognizing the best of organizations across the sectors of manufacturing, services, education, healthcare, overseas small businesses, and NGOs. We mark this journey on the birthday of Shri Ramkrishna Bajaj on 22nd September. The seeds of patriotism and virtuousness were sown early on in Shri Ramkrishna Bajaj's life. After all, he was brought up under the personal guidance of none other than Mahatma Gandhi and Vinoba Bhaveji. Whether it was business or politics, he displayed an inherent quality of being ethical rather than materialistic. He emphasized the importance of business goals being in line with society's good. We have imbibed these very strong principles and values of Shri Ramkrishna Ji to guide the IMC, RBNQA Trust. The awards symbolize a disciplined and ethical process that has stood the test of time. The IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Award Trust was instituted with the help of the House of Bajaj in 1995. The awards were named after late Shri Ramkrishna Bajaj, one of the most respected captains of Indian industry. He was more of a statesman than a businessman. For him, being part of a nation-building process was as important as running his own business empire. The IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj Memorial Lecture will be an annual event. The first in this series will be a lecture by Mr. Suresh Lulla, Co-Chairman, IMC Quality Improvement and Technology Committee, on Vision of the Visionary and Mission of a Missionary. This will be followed by a panel discussion, IMC RBNQA Model Adoption, Lessons Learned. The moderator for the panel discussion will be Mr. Pradeep Chennai, Trustee IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Award Trust. The panelists comprise of 8 past winners of IMC RBNQA, each of which will share their organizational breakthroughs through adoption of the IMC RBNQA Performance Excellence Model. We thank all the panelists for their valuable time to share their wonderful learnings with all of us. A small piece about IMC Chamber of Industry, Commerce and Industry. It was set up in 1907. The 114-year-old IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a premier chamber of trade and commerce and industry in India with headquarters in Mumbai. It has around 2,500 direct members comprising a cross-section of business community, including public and private limited companies, and over 210 affiliated member associations through which the chamber reaches out to over 250,000 business establishments in the country. IMC is the first chamber in the country to get ISO certification in India and the only body of its kind which has had the privilege of having Mahatma Gandhi as one of its members. We are committed to provide quality service to the country as a whole in the areas of economic, monetary and trade policy so as to achieve rapid national economic growth. I thank all the participants who have taken this time for the busy schedule to make this memorable event a success. All the very best to the team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Khorakiwala. We now Hinduja Bajaj, Chairman, IMC RBNQA Trust, to say a few words of on the IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj Memorial Lecture. May I request Bajaj sir to please take this on?
Thank you so much, and many thanks to Mr. President, Mr. Khurakiwala, for your kind words. On behalf of the Bajaj family, my sincere thanks to the IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry for organizing the first IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj Memorial Lecture in memory of my father on his 98th birth anniversary. As said by Mr. President, this will be an annual lecture on 22nd September every year to remind us of his qualities and values. It has been my good fortune to be born in the Bajaj family as Ramkrishna ji's son. I saw from so close his simple living to an extreme. I remember him telling us that even as head of the Bajaj Group, he genuinely considered his proudest moment to be when, as a young man in Wardha, Gandhiji called him his coolie. In his younger years, he even spun on a traditional charkha, an entire khadi sari for my mother. He led a highly disciplined life. I can't remember a single time when he missed his daily walking and yoga. He was non-materialistic to such an extent that I can tell you that he never bothered to even know what his personal wealth was. He had a big heart and was always wanting to help the less fortunate. He was the founder of the Jamnalal Bajaj Foundation. Born and brought up under the influence of Dadaji Jamnalal Bajaj, Dadiji Janki Devi, Gandhiji and Vinoba Bhave, he was totally wedded to khadi. At that time, khadi was quite coarse and rough, but under his guidance, all of us wore only khadi until the age of 18. Even our school uniforms were specially made in khadi for us. But he did not believe in imposing his views on us once we were adults and gave us the freedom to make our own decisions once we were 18. I was blessed to have lived in my parents' home all the way to their last day. And thus, I thought I'll just give a few glimpses of my life in his home. The memorial lecture, of course, will be coming up from Mr. Lulla. He was very committed to the joint family and showered his love and blessings on all of us. As the head of the family, he was fair and treated all of us equally. He called his 3 sons one day and told us that if ever there was a serious disagreement between him and his nephew Shri Rahul Bhai, we should side with Rahul Bhai and not with him. Of course, such an event never happened, but it showed his infinite love and trust in Rahul Bhai, but it also showed his greatness. He was extremely supportive as a father, far more modern than the times. I can share a personal story here. I was All India table tennis champion, and at the early age of 22, while I was India number 1, I wanted to leave table tennis and join the family business. One would think that as a traditional business family, he would want me to do this. But he always believed that we should fulfill our dreams to the fullest and was very upset with me. However, he also listened to and respected the views of all of us youngsters. And he gave me the freedom to make my own choice, despite it being against his wishes. He was a rare example of practicing what he preached. He always led by example and made sure to himself follow the same rules that were imposed on us. These are just a few stories of our lives growing up. that makes me feel so proud to be Shri Ramkrishna Ji's son. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We will now request you to please give an introduction to the speaker of the day, Mr. Suresh Lulla. May I request Bajaj sir to please say a few words?
Thank you. I've had the good fortune of knowing Mr. Suresh Lulla personally since 1990. All these years, I've really admired his dedication to spread the quality movement in India. In my view, he's truly the quality guru of India. I have learned so much from him over the decades. We thought he would be the most appropriate person to give the inaugural IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj Memorial Lecture. He also knew my father, Ramkrishna Ji, personally for many years. We are truly grateful to him for accepting. This is the 25th year of the Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Awards, and he has led this initiative from day one. A distinguished alumnus of IIT Mumbai, he pioneered the quality movement in India by founding Qimpro Consultants in 1987. He was mentored by Dr. J.M. Juran, the father of quality, who along with Mahatma Gandhi and Shri Ramkrishna Bajaj formed the trinity of Mr. Lulla's role models. He jokes that something he has in common with his role models is a bald head. Qimpro has served reputed Indian business houses, MNCs, SMEs, and hospitals. Collectively, these clients have saved in excess of INR 25,000 crores as a byproduct of quality improvement, specifically by strategically addressing their cost of quality, COPQ. We in the Bajaj Group have also benefited from his teachings. Mr. Lulla is founder and managing trustee of Qimpro Foundation. The focus of the foundation is quality improvement in healthcare and quality improvement in education. The foundation also recognizes statesmen and leaders for quality in business, healthcare, education, and environment. Mr. Lulla has been co-chairman of the IMC Quality Improvement and Technology Committee since inception in 1994. He established the IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Awards in 1996. The award has earned a reputation for its benchmark quality of examiners and feedback reports. Mr. Lulla is a veteran professional with over 50 years of experience as a management consultant, speaker, trainer, author, and storyteller. We are proud to present to you Mr. Lulla. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we will now begin with the first IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj Memorial Lecture. I request Mr. Suresh Lulla to please take the session forward with his speech, Vision of a Visionary, Mission of a Missionary. Over to you, Lulla, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bajaj, for your warm introduction. Mr. Neeraj Bajaj, Mr. Juzar Khorakiwala, Mr. Anand Singhania, Mr. Pradeep Chennai, Mr. Rahul Bajaj and members of the Bajaj family and friends. I wish to thank the IMC RBNQA Trust for requesting me to deliver the first IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj Memorial Lecture. This request is more special for me because, as Mr. Bajaj pointed out, the trinity of my role models are Dr. J.M. Juran, Mahatma Gandhi, and Shri Ramkrishna Bajaj. I'd like to start with the end. I refer to an extract from one of the last public addresses delivered by Shri Ramkrishna Bajaj in Bombay at the inauguration of a lecture series by Swami Dayanand Ji on 21 February 1994. Quote, the main teaching of the Gita is, do your work efficiently and perform your duty sincerely. Further, while performing your duty, do not expect to receive the fruits of your efforts. This is not easy. I have experienced this teaching and found it invaluable. Unquote. Shri Ramkrishna Bajaj was unique amongst industrialists. He was the only one in his generation that grew under the shadow of Mahatma Gandhi in Wardha. He was the younger son of Shri Jamnalal Bajaj. And as we all know, Mahatma Gandhi had adopted Shri Jamnalal as his fifth son. They had an excellent rapport. When the much-loved businessman Shri Jamnalal passed away at a comparatively young age, the Mahatma declared, quote, whenever I wrote about wealthy men becoming trustees of their wealth for the common good, I had this merchant prince in mind. The merchant prince had never let Mahatma Gandhi down. Shri Jamnalal gave away his wealth very freely. At the time of his death, he left behind assets worth rupees 13 lakh that belonged to the joint family. It was on this meager sum that the Bajaj Group was built by Shri Kamal Nayan Bajaj, the older brother of Ramkrishna Ji. Shri Kamal Nayan was an entrepreneur at heart and a businessman in mind. Those virtues seeded the success of the Bajaj Group. Shri Ramkrishna was born on 22 September 1924, 97 years ago. When Ramkrishna Ji was growing up, the talk in the family was not that of business. The talk was of India's struggle for freedom from the British. National leaders were frequently in and out of the Bajaj home. And Mahatma Gandhi was always the next door neighbor, available for advice and guidance. The Bajaj family believed in simple living. Even simple luxuries were taboo. At the age of 12, when the young Ramkrishna's aunt presented him with a bundi laddu, he innocently asked his mother, "What is this ball?" The innocence was not artificial. It was natural. Shri Ramkrishna never believed that he led a life of deprivation in his childhood. Throughout his life, he never drank tea or coffee. This was because his mother Padma Vibhushan Janki Devi Bajaj believes that any habit that can make you a slave of the habit should be avoided. Also, Ramkrishna Ji always wore khadi. He had the soul of a leader. Leadership came naturally. At Govind Ram's 6-area college in Wardha, he was selected to be president of the debating society, a very active left-brain activity. He was the editor of the school magazine, an active right-brain activity. And he was captain of the cricket team, strategic thinking and physical fitness. Ramkrishna Ji, the silent leader. Let's move to the next chapter. In 1941, Mahatma Gandhi launched the individual Satyagraha movement to protest against Britain for dragging India into the Second World War. As a minor, Shri Ramkrishna Ji persuaded a very reluctant Mahatma Gandhi to allow him to participate in this Satyagraha. Shri Ramkrishna was arrested on 16 April 1941. Each time he was released from jail, he courted arrest again. In 1942, Shri Ramkrishna was detained under the Defence of India Act for about 1,000 days. In jail, Shri Vinoba Bhave taught him Sanskrit with the help of Valmiki's Ramayana and thereafter the Gita. He could not have got a better education. The years immediately preceding and following independence were hyper busy for Ramkrishna Ji. Even while in jail in 1945, he was elected president of the Central Provinces and Berar Students' Congress. Thereafter, he associated himself with All India Students' Congress, Indian Youth Congress as the treasurer, All India Congress Committee in the Youth Department. In 1958, the Youth Congress had about 2.5 lakh members and branches in 250 districts. Shri Ramkrishna was committed to public activities. He preached that every industrialist family must assign one member to public service. Next chapter. Over the years, much of the brunt of running the business, family business, was borne by his elder brother, Shri Kamal Nayan. Although Shri Ramkrishna was always in the picture. In 1972, with Shri Kamal Nayan transmigration of the soul, Ramkrishna Ji was drawn into the mainstream of leadership and operations. Once in, he was in for good. Ramkrishna Ji's devotion to the Bajaj enterprises was total. He was also committed to honest business principles inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. In addition, his North Star for societal satisfaction. He would personally visit villages and interact with the poorest of the poor. In today's parlance, Ramkrishna Ji was committed to CSR and rural development. This was decades before these terms became buzzwords. As a Gandhian, Shri Ramkrishna was not dogmatic. According to him, adherence to Gandhian values did not conflict with the growth of Bajaj enterprises that included manufacture of steel, autos, and electrical goods. His mission, adherence to Gandhian values. I repeat, his mission was adherence to Gandhian values. Even in the matter of trusteeship, a concept close to the Mahatma's heart, Shri Ramkrishna let pragmatism and not emotion rule his thinking. He believed that the concept was seeded at a different time and that things had changed post-independence. What would have gone against his grain was evasion of social responsibility by industry. He expounded his views in his book, Social Role of Business. His vision, social role of business for societal satisfaction. That was his North Star. Shri Ramkrishna tirelessly conveyed this message of social responsibility at every forum available. He had been president of the Indian National Committee of the International Chamber of Commerce, Maharashtra Chamber of Commerce, Indian Chamber of Commerce, Indian Merchants Chamber, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Shri Ramkrishna was founder and chairman of the Jamnalal Bajaj Foundation that annually presents 3 national awards and 1 contribution in the fields of constructive work, application of science and technology for rural development, welfare and upliftment of women and children, promoting Gandhian values outside India. Consistent with the needs of modern industrial management, all nephews and sons of Shri Ramkrishna completed their postgraduate management education at reputed institutions overseas and thereafter returned to India. Ramkrishna Ji was progressive, Gandhian, and humane. In Shri Ramkrishna's office at Bajaj Bhavan at Nariman Point in South Bombay, one could hear a pin drop. Everything about the office was low-key. I experienced that in 1976. I met Shri Ramkrishna Bajaj at his office. I was 32. I discovered a calm man at peace with himself and the rest of the world. despite the 1973 OPEC crisis and the 1975 emergency imposed by Indira Gandhi. He was in spotless white khaki, formal attire. I was in a dark suit and a blue necktie. The specifications of dress by A.F. Ferguson and Company Management Consultancy Division. My mission was to get a comprehensive job description for an executive search assignment, CEO of Ayurved Sevashram in Jaipur. In those days, all consultants at Ferguson's had studied and qualified abroad, either in the UK or the US. Shri Ramkrishna politely requested me to be seated and offered me a narel pani in the shell. He smiled. I was in awe. Was he not the same business leader who had articulated his objection to the emergency? Whose business offices had been raided by the Indira Gandhi government? Through a brief but almost silent conversation, he learned I was restless in the tragic emergency. I was ready to pack up and return to the US. My wife and I had green cards. He showed no reaction. He simply requested me to meet his nephew for the job description I needed. And as I was at the door, he said, and yes, please come and meet me tomorrow at noon in my office. I did. He gently facilitated a reprioritization of my life goals. He also asked me to define a mission in the context of India. He said, we need the benefit of your overseas education. Guess what? I stayed back. I stayed back in India and gave up my green card. My wife did the same. Such was his magnetism. In the early 90s, Business India wrote, quote, the House of Bajaj is politically one of the most influential of the big houses in industry. The power of influence is derived not because of its financial muscle, but because of the group's emphasis on ethical norms in business dealings. Wow. The House of Bajaj was synonymous with the blue chip Bajaj Auto, led by Shri Bajaj. And how can anyone forget the popular jingle, Hamara Bajaj, so endured. I was now a qualitist rendering consultancy services to Mr. Neeraj Bajaj at Mumbai and Mr. Shekhar Bajaj at Bajaj Electricals. Shri Ramkrishna had empowered each of them to lead their respective organizations to business success. In other words, each was in a state of self-control. In today's glossary, this was a giant step towards performance excellence. In 1992, I wished to invite Shri Ramkrishna as chief guest at Qimpro Convention. Mr. Neeraj Bajaj mentioned the same to his father. The humble gentleman agreed with no hesitation. He delivered an address on consumer defines quality. This was much ahead of popular beliefs regarding quality. And yet, it was very Gandhian. Shri Ramakrishna was singularly without pretensions. He did what he thought was right and did it sincerely and with no thought of glory. He utilized his philanthropy to assist different voluntary organizations. Few ever heard of it. Between 1988 and 1993, in this period itself, the charitable trusts of the Bajaj Group had disbursed over 10 crore to assist public causes and institutions. Ramkrishna ji made sure that there was no word in the press. This makes me think, was he a human being in search of a spiritual experience? Or was he a spiritual being having a human experience? Shri Ramakrishna's passing away on 21 September 1994 signaled the end of capitalism inspired by the Gandhi era. This was just one day short of his 70th birthday. In 1994, the obvious choice to lead the Bajaj joint family was Shri Rahul Bajaj. He is already the active and direct voice of industry. Today, the market capitalization of the quoted companies of the Bajaj Group is rupees 9 lakh crore, traceable to the group strategy articulated by Shri Rahul Bajaj. Since 1997, the IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Award is our effort to keep Shri Ramakrishna's principle-driven values alive in Indian organizations, business, healthcare, education. You will hear more about this in the panel discussion, moderated by Mr. Pradeep Chennai. In conclusion, from up there, Shri Ramkrishna Bajaj will be smiling and blessing the Bajaj joint family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful insight into the life of Shri Ramakrishna ji. I would now request Mr. Neeraj Bajaj, sir, to please present a certificate in appreciation to Mr. Lulla.
Congratulations, Mr. Lulla. That was truly outstanding. Thank you very much.
So we just show the certificate that's presented. We'll give a round of applause to Lulla, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. We will now move on to the next important segment of the day, evening, the panel discussion, IMC RBNQA model adoption lessons learned. Moderator for the day is Mr. Pradeep Chennai, Trustee IMC RBNQA Trust. May I request Pradeep sir to please take this forward? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maya.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry and IMC Ramakrishna Bajaj National Quality Award Trust, I would like to welcome 8 panelists who have decided to come today to us to share their experiences on the first Ramakrishna Bajaj Memorial Lecture Series. I am one of the fortunate ones who had the occasion to meet Shri Ramakrishna Ji during his lifetime. He was a man with a unique personality. With elders, he was a man with a vision. When he was with relatively younger people, he was aggressive and always action-oriented. When he was with young children and toddlers, he was just like one of them. He always had in his heart and mind charity. Wherever he went, he tried to help people to make sure that the people who needed his help were benefited. IMC, about 25 years ago, decided to have in his memory our Ramakrishna Bajaj National Quality Award. The main purpose of this award was to recognize the services rendered by some of the organizations to themselves as well as to others by making sure that their processes and their systems are in place and they get improved every year, year after year. In doing so, they also made sure that the values of highest quality were maintained and the interests of all the shareholders are also maintained at that time. Today, we are fortunate to have with us representatives of 8 such institutions who are going to be sharing with us their experiences of their interactions with the team of RBNQA. To begin with, let me start with the education sector, which is represented by 2 different institutions. The first one is Benari Annaman Institute of Technology from Tamil Nadu. Is a winner of the Ramakrishna Bajaj National Quality Award in 2019, represented by Dr. Pallinaswamy, the principal. May I request Dr. Pallinaswamy to please share your thoughts with us?
Yeah. Thank you, sir, Mr. Pradeep Chennai, for inviting us to be the panelist of this RBNQA meeting. So most respected Chairman of IMC RBNQ Trust, Mr. Neeraj Bajaj, Mr. Suresh Lulla, Co-Chairman, IMC Quality Improvement Technology Committee, Mr. Pradeep Chennai, Trustee, IMC RBNQA Trust, Mr. Suzar Korakiwala, panelists, participants, warm good evening to all present here. I am extremely honored and grateful that Panari Institute of Technology has been the winner of IMC Ramakrishna Bajaj National Quality Award 2019 under the education category and to participate in this panel discussion. So a brief about our institute. We are an autonomous engineering institute and happy to share that we are celebrating our silver jubilee year. This is our 25th year. And now, as part of accreditation, we have been accredited by international accreditation body, IET UK, recently after getting the National Quality Award from IMC RBNQA. And we have been accredited by NAC, the highest accreditation body of our country, for 3rd consecutive time with the highest, grade point average of 3.57 in the 3rd cycle. And we've also been accredited by NBA, National Board of Accreditation, again, one of the highest engineering accreditation body in India. And we have more than 8,000 students on campus with more than 600 faculty members working for the Nobel cause. We have been accredited, we have received 4 different additional awards from IMC RBNQA since 2015. IMC Performance Excellence Trophy in 2015 and 17, and Making Quality Happen Best Practices Competition in the Education category in 2016-17, and CFDP Jamnalal Bajaj Award again in 2018-19, and Milestones Merit Recognition Award in the 2018 Leadership category also in 2018. Finally, the National Quality Award in 2019. the experiences that we had with the RBNQA award, we had a lot of interactions with the team, and the process is so excellent. And recently, we have been also bestowed with the Global Performance Excellence Award 2021, Best in Class from the Asia Pacific Quality Organization. Also, that is, we are very happy to share that. These awards stand as testimony to our numerous academic initiatives that we have took up at our campus, which have also resulted in several achievements. All the applying organizations, irrespective of winning the award or not, we receive a detailed report, a feedback report, which is beneficial to map the quality journey of the organization. The IMC RBNQA criteria guidelines provide the organization with a systematic tool for introspection and self-assessment. This is the direct benefit to all applicants during the application writing stage. I'm happy that BAT has successfully gone through the rigorous scrutiny of quality experts on the 7 essential criteria that impact the functioning of an organization. This was made possible with the collective effort of all the stakeholders, including students, staff, and administrators. We have been given with the greatest resources to the institution from the examiners, especially led by the team from IMC. We got the feedbacks excellent, led by team leader, Mr. Rajagopal and Mugundan. And we had excellent team members from the RBNQA team, Stila Jagani, Dr. Sugadi Tambe, and Anil Vishnu Dusane, coordinated by the IMC team. We went through the rigorous process, and we learned a lot during the application writing stage and also during the evaluation stage. So it helped us, in effective strategic planning, and also to evaluate our own systems and changes that we wanted to bring in. So with these effective strategic planning, we have taken several measures after the evaluation process. Also, we have been taking a lot of measures to help our students excel in the task that we are taking up. Some of the important measures that we have taken after the award 2019, we have introduced a lot of systemic changes in terms of mentoring students and helping students, like establishing special labs, giving industry orientation with the help of making the students doing projects and learn through those projects. We also initiated several skill development programs to practice learning by doing. In addition to that, we have also established the systematic classroom sessions by following revised Bloom's taxonomy classrooms, and also the outcome-based question paper for assessment. That completes the full cycle. With the help of all the systemic changes, only we could do all these things. These special labs, the concept of special labs, which were introduced to adopt industry practices inside the campus. Students were able to do creative projects and win a lot of competitions. For example, the All India Council for Technical Education is conducting a lot of Smart India hackathons. We could win at least 10 competitions every year from various reputed agencies across the nation. These facilities are accompanied by identifying, training, and most essential engineering skills through the several skill development programs. And we could see change in students' performance over the past 3 years. One example that I would like to quote is that in the past 2 years, amidst pandemic, our average salary of a student has increased from 4 lakhs per annum at an average to 6 lakhs per annum in a scale of about 1,800 students who pass out every year. So further strengthening our regular audit performance and analysis and monitoring systems, both students and faculty members have enabled significant improvement in their overall performance by following the systemic performance audit systems in place. I think these things have all helped our students and faculty members to reach these heights. So the entire process of RBNQA has helped us a lot in improving our systems for the past 3 years, from 2019. And I think definitely we are putting ourselves into to reach larger benchmarks and to reach the international standards also. This international accreditation, IET, is one of the benchmark that we could say. And this recently we got this Global Excellence Award, Performance Excellence Award, Best in Class from APQO is another milestone that we have reached. Is all possible with the help of the detailed feedbacks, and also the procedures that we follow after IMC, RBNQA award, after this experience that we have gained through this process. On my behalf and the institution behalf, I thank the entire team of IMC RBNQA for helping us to achieve these milestones. I hereby extend my heartfelt gratitude to the entire team of IMC RBNQA Trust for providing such a wonderful opportunity for us, and also a great platform like this to share our thoughts in this forum. Thank you, Mr. Pradeep. It's nice.
Thank you, Dr. Palaniswamy, for your insights. We really appreciate the thoughts of yours. At the same time, we are happy that the actions that you've taken have helped the students in the long run. We hope that you will continue the same process in the years to come, and we look forward to your participation in the RBNQA programs in future also. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
The second one in the education sector is Mr. Atul Temrunikar. He is the chairman and co-founder of Global Indian Education Private Limited. They have received 2 such winning trophies, one in the year 1922 in 2020, one for education and one for the overseas category. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, respected IMC President, Shri Neeraj, Lulla ji, Maya ji, and all distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to join the IMC panel discussion for award-winning organizations and privileged to be amongst the distinguished speakers on the panel. It is also an unparalleled privilege to be speaking at the birth anniversary of Shri Ramkrishna Bajaj, especially as a representative of a foundation called the Global Schools Foundation, or in short GSF, which was incidentally also co-founded along with me by late Shri Justice Dharmadhikari. Late Justice Dharmadhikari was well known for his Gandhian thoughts and values, and obviously he was very close to Ramakrishna ji, and in fact both seem to have shared a lot of very, very similar values. GSF co-founder Justice Dharmadhikari was also well known for his countless initiatives that he undertook for the underprivileged people of India. Today, Global Schools Foundation, or GSF, celebrates a decade-long association with the IMC. Over the 10 years, GSF has raised the bar on excellence through adoption of the IMC RB National Quality Awards performance criteria. And we are very proud that we have very successfully been attaining the exceptional levels of service excellence for our stakeholders, not just in India, but across the 8 countries in Asia and Middle East. Addressing you all today reminds me of our constant responsibility to deliver the quality education service that our stakeholders deserve. Why is quality service important in the education service? And that too in schools. It is important because along with the emergence of digital communities, the old ways of education are not going to be effective on the Generation Z and Generation Alpha. Post the pandemic, the education landscape is witnessing a paradigm shift with the use of more technology, virtual education becoming mainstream, and use of adaptive learning strategies for individualized learning platforms. So the focus now has significantly shifted in how an individual student is learning versus the whole school or the whole institution. It is also important because never before teaching and learning transactions between a student and a teacher, whether in classrooms or outside the schools, have actually been subject of any quality assessment. And we have changed that trend there. We have implemented quality in these transactions, and we find the quantitative and qualitative learning outcomes of students have improved year on year. The students are becoming better learners and achieving better academic and holistic outcomes. GSF School has always been a front runner in implementing the proprietary data analytics platform called the 7S that allows teachers to do a detailed analysis for every student to understand and enhance their performance and learning outcomes. This is particularly helpful in a dynamically changing students' strengths and weaknesses, and our teachers are able to take immediate corrective steps towards the benefit of the GSF schools also have a very extensive, comprehensive student development plans with the philosophy of each student excels to their fullest potential. It is no wonder that GIS has produced world toppers in every curriculum from around the world, be it the 70 world toppers and near perfect scores in the International Baccalaureate, or over 130 students who have scored A stars in all their subjects in the Cambridge IGCSE exams. And even one student has been a CBSE Middle East topper for Asia and Middle East. Last year, GIS Tokyo School was ranked by India's Board in the #1 position among the 600 plus CBSE schools outside India. And more importantly, CBSE ranked GIS Tokyo with an all India rank of 9 across the entire country of 16,000 CBSE schools. The GIS Tokyo average of the school itself was about 94%. This effectively has put GIS school in the top 10 rank nationally in India. GSF schools have thus made the entire teacher-student engagement very personalized, as opposed to using a single brush for the entire class. This way, we have nurtured better and highly skilled global citizens and future leaders. GSF has had a mindset since 2008 to deliver the quality education. Hence, we set up the Global Center for Education Excellence that solely focused on bringing the Malcolm Baldrige quality model in all our teaching and learning processes. This has allowed us to stay focused on student learning outcomes and achieve what no other schools were even thinking at that time. Our quality journey led us through various accolades, but the one close to my heart is the IMC RBNQA Awards. The IMC RBNQA Quality Awards process showcases a great level of open communication and a trust between the applicant organization and the IMC RBNQA. Out of our 12 campuses that have won the IMC Awards, 8 campuses have consistently won the IMC Awards since 2008, and some have won it even twice, making up a total 15 IMC RBNQA Awards. We also gained valuable feedback to continuously challenge and improve ourselves. By adopting the RBNQA excellence model, it has given us a systems perspective to holistic education. That means managing all the components of our organization as a unified whole to achieve ongoing success. Our GSF schools, quality is not just for teachers and staff, but for students too, who have become the young IMC ambassadors of quality. They have also presented at the IMC MQH competitions by sharing their best practices. This has enabled them at this tender age to start the journey of thinking and problem solving. These platforms given by IMC have definitely enabled our students to live up to our motoring for citizens. They have learned to use the tools of quality circles effectively and come up with solutions and turn their problems into an area of strength. By presenting at the IMC, they have gone on to present at the other global platforms with more confidence and maturity. Tonight, I would like to share a few learning points from the journey towards service excellence undertaken by GSF by adopting the IMC RBNQA performance excellence model. We have fostered a mindset among our staff that welcomes change as a way to achieve greater efficiency and effectiveness in the classroom. At the same time, the morale and welfare of the students is emphasized. We also nurture an attitude of services in our students. Our rich and experienced faculty are expected to apply high standards of quality and courtesy in delivering teaching and learning at all our campuses. At the individual level, we empower our faculty to make a difference no matter what level they are teaching. And to address this challenge, we started our Kaizen clubs in every campus. It nurtures thinking people who feel empowered to solve problems, who are motivated on the spot instead of referring every decision upwards. And in June 2021, the World Book of Records recognized GSF as the world's most awarded network of schools for winning over 235 excellence awards. In conclusion, providing education excellence is all about building and sustaining trust and partnership between all the stakeholders. It requires keeping an ear to the ground and accepting feedback and criticism. A dedicated staff and faculty should be empowered to make difference to their customers in their daily work. Schools should also strive to be innovative, to improve and reinvent the way things are being done. Education excellence is a journey without an end, in which customers and partners, as Ramkrishna Bajaj said, and stakeholders who co-create to contribute towards nation building and a better society for all. Tonight, we bear witness to IMC's dedication in realizing and promoting quality excellence in all the fields. We wish to thank IMC and all the IMC assessors who have made this possible. I wish you all a meaningful evening ahead. Thank you so much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tamrunikar, for your brief details of what you have done. It's really impressive that you have achieved so much over the last several years, and your students are also getting benefited out of the actions that you all have taken at your institution. I hope the online education system, which has been operating since last year and a half or so, has not changed the way in which the interaction between the teachers and the students is going to be different now. But at the same time, I'm sure over a period of time, the efforts that you all have taken in the field of education will help your students as well as the other people around the world. Congratulations to you, and thank you very much for joining us today. Now let's move on to healthcare sector. We have Mr. Jay Chakrabarti, Chief Operating Officer of PD Hinduja Hospital. They have won the trophy of RBNQA twice, once in 2007, and they were silent for almost 10 years. Then again in 2017, they have won the trophy. Then we have not seen them for the last 4 years. Now, Mr. Chakrabarti will probably tell us what they have done over the last 10 or 12 years and inform us how come they missed us for 10 years from 2007 to 2017. Over to you, Mr. Chakrabarti.
So good evening to all of you, and I want to first thank Mr. Neeraj Bajaj, Mr. Suresh Lulla for setting up this excellent platform of IMC Quality Award. And Mr. Chinay, I want to assure you that we are not away for 10 years. In between, we joined in 2012 or 13, and that time we didn't get the trophy. There was someone else who won the trophy, and we had the second one. And again, we came back in 2017. We would have loved to join in 2021, but because of all these things, what is going on, our focus remained in a different side. So we didn't join, but I assure you that we'll be part and parcel of it in coming days. So coming back to this, so let me tell you the journey of Hinduja Hospital. Those who are aware about Hinduja Hospital, for them it may be a repetition. So this is a 70 years young hospital in the city, started from as a clinic after the partition of India and Pakistan, when a lot of people migrated from that part of the world. At the time when this clinic came, nobody thought that it will take a shape of such a big hospital in the city after a few years. When we took this decision, or the trustees of the Hinduja Hospital on those days, they embarked into the journey, the state of vision that quality healthcare for all. So what is that for all? That irrespective of economic and financial class and condition, people should be able to access the quality care. And today we are really committed and devoted in the same journey. And as a result of that, 20% of our beds remain reserved for the free patients or patients with 50% discounted, bill what they pay at the end of the treatment. Now, coming back to this, what is this made a change in our ecosystem, in our complete process? Let me tell you, in 2007, I came and joined in Hinduja Hospital, but in a different role. And at that year, we happened to hear this Ramakrishna Bajaj created a different vertical for the healthcare sector. So we didn't wait, though we had history of getting into this ISO, the first hospital in the country to get ISO certified in 1996. Then we have a College of American Pathologists accreditation, first hospital lab amongst the SAARC countries to get the hospital, the lab accreditation from College of American Pathologists in 2006. But when 2007 ended and I started my journey here after moving to Bombay, and through I'm in healthcare, let me tell you, it was quite exciting for me, because at that time when I've spent my 9 years of experience in healthcare sector, I have not seen such a structured program was offered or suggested by any other, I'll not say some sorts of award, but any sorts of accreditation. Just to give you a sense of the uniqueness, I must say, on those days in India, there was not a popular hospital accreditation program was in existence. 2005-06, the first time in this country, there was the hospital accreditation called NABH came into the picture. And before that, there was another accreditation called Joint Commission International, which is very popular in US. Its international version entered in India, and the first hospital to get the international accreditation, it happened in 2004 or maybe beginning of 2005. So it was a very, nascent stage for the healthcare sector to get something which is made for the healthcare sector. Hospitals can participate. And when we got this opportunity, we went ahead and we, got into that process. Now, what that process taught us, I must say, typically in a hospital, when you are managing sick patients and you are seeing flooded, your hospital is flooded with so many patients and coming on, probably there is very less focus is paid on clinical outcomes, very less focus is paid on the customer relationship. So I must say, at that time, there was the predecessor of Dr. Maya Desai. She was managing it and she started briefing us that how it can help us. And we saw the structured format, that whether it is your vendor, whether it is your customer, whether it is your internal customer, how do you manage and how do you shape up even your disaster recovery? How do you manage business continuity? When we saw all this, we started doing some retrospection, and I don't mind to admit that healthcare, even today, even on those days, were lagging in terms of all these structures in comparison to the manufacturing and other sectors. So we jumped into all this journey and process, and we are very happy. In 2008, we got the award, and we are the first one in this particular category to get the award, and it gave a lot of confidence. With that, when we were working on this, a lot of people started asking, what is there for us to learn? We are such an established institute. We have so much of robust process. Then we ourselves did the self-assessment and have found that if you go through that 64 pages document, which was required to be submitted, where all we were lacking, that introspection gave us the wisdom to work towards that. and we embarked into the next quality process or accreditation, which is NABH, as I have mentioned. So we are one of the first hospital in the city to get the NABH accreditation for the hospital. When we got first Ramakrishna Bajaj Award, followed by NABH accreditation, then we jumped into all sorts of quality process and journey. And in that, I can tell you, we are the first hospital. We worked towards the mission and got something, what you have for the food safety and all the accreditation certification. We applied for it and we got that. Subsequently, whether information security, whether it is green hospital, we worked and probably continue to remain in the forefront in the healthcare sector to work towards the development, whether it is customer satisfaction in each and every possible area where even we have found, whether it is patient safety, we have worked. And that work has paid off to us immediately, and that is continuing to happen even today. If you know about the Hinduja hospital, I'm very proud to say that in 2012, 13, 14, in 3 consecutive years, the hospital was awarded by 2 independent bodies like ICICI Lombard and CNBC TV. They have a robust award event where they recognize the hospital. So we are awarded the best hospital in the private hospital category in those 3 consecutive years. We continue to remain again and focused on the patient and clinical care. And with that, we also worked towards how do you improve your not only the clinical outcome, but your processes. And we work with Mr Suresh Lulla, whether it is, Lean Six Sigma. We set up in our hospital first time in 2016, the team for business excellence, which is still a new word probably for many hospitals in this country. We work towards 5 A's and several projects, and we presented in several forums along with the quality gurus, and we have showcased that what kind of work has been done along with other industry representatives in different forums. So over a period of time when you are working on all this, I must say this has paid off even recently. In last 2 years, consecutive 2 years, there is US News, the agency which does ranking for the hospitals and healthcare providers in US. They did the similar activities in 21 different countries. And for the last 2 years, we have been ranked at the best hospital in the Western region, 3rd best private hospital in the country, and the 6th best hospital amongst the private and government sector hospitals in the country. So that is something what we realize. The very I'll not take it as a big pride, but I must say that this has given a huge kind of confidence to us continuously to improve our processes and very importantly, focusing on customers. I remember in the very initial stage in 2007 or 8, when I met Mr. Lulla for the first time, he started talking about how you can showcase your best practice, how you can remain committed with the feedback you receive from your customers, and not only the external customer, the internal customer. And I can tell you today that we are in the same journey. Each and every day is a learning for us. Each and every day we remain committed to ourselves, committed to our people. We remain committed to the people who are the other stakeholders and looking at us for the best possible care. And I'm sure that in coming days, we'll not dishearten you and we'll come back and join and participate in Ramakrishna Bajaj award thing, and we'll be again able to show some of the best practices. So this is a great learning for us. And we I think in comparison to the other industries who are present here, what we lack in our sector, probably that will be something what we can look from the Bajaj Award. committee or IMC, we don't have a lot of Indian data available, Indian benchmarks amongst the private hospitals with whom we can, compare and showcase ourselves. Probably that is something we can work out, and we can see how that can lead the Indian healthcare in a greater heights. Our doctors, nurses are already highly recognized, respected, and adored by the rest of the world. But this will take our healthcare in a different leap, where you can see that patients will seek Indian healthcare, which is the best of its quality, but available 1/10 of the global cost. So I'm sure this journey will continue, and we'll remain from the healthcare sector committed to our patient. And this Ramakrishna Bajaj Award is going to contribute that in that journey significantly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chakrabarti, and we'll be glad to see you once again very soon. At the same time, we are very thankful to you for your frank opinion, as well as the advice that you've given to us for improving our way of working also. We assure you that we will look into it and try to see that in the years to come, we will add certain things that you have mentioned to us today. Next one, for all those who do not know, when IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj Quality Award started out, our main focus was on manufacturing. Thereafter, slowly, we diverted ourselves and added healthcare center, education, media, service industry, and so on. And therefore, today we have got all different types of areas who are representing these industries for us and sharing their views with us. Let's now move on to the industry. We have one company, which of their two divisions have been receiving the recognitions from IMC RBNQA over a period of time. The name of the company is L&T Electrical and Automation. Their unit from Mysore, as well as their unit from Ahmednagar, have received recognitions from IMC RBNQA. The Coimbatore and Ahmednagar had received in 2020, whereas the other one, Mysore one, had received in the year 2019. Representing them today is Mr. Uday Singh, Vice President from Coimbatore and Ahmednagar unit. May I request Mr. Singh to please share his views with us?
Thank you so very much, Mr. Pradeep, and good evening to all. Mr. Bajaj, Mr. Lulla, and to Mr. Pradeep, to you. And I know for sure that we are running against time, so I'll be a bit quick. And just to give you a brief introduction, one is, as you had rightly mentioned, we are in the core of manufacturing, and we actually do the low voltage and medium voltage equipment manufacturing, which is a customized solution for all of our people. Everyone requires it, whomsoever puts an industry or wherever. This is very essential part of the energy mix. And we have a couple of centers of manufacturing. One is at Ahmednagar, which very rightly were put where we make the medium voltage products. And the other one, which is a low voltage manufacturing setup, which is in Coimbatore down south. And, we are market leaders in the low voltage segment for last about 5 decades or so. And about 7 to 10% market share we have in medium voltage products. So this is what we have been trying to do. And very rightly, I echo what Joy said is, whether the team was feeling the need, whether do we require such an assessment to be done. But then, yes, there are always avenues of making better, even the best ones. And, thank you so much for the assessors who came in, and all the robust processes and systems which we had in place for donkey years were put to a litmus test. And I am not be lying if I say that there were a lot of areas of improvement which were found during these assessments. And thank you so much for the assessors for actually evaluating such deeply and telling us very rightfully as to what are the areas where we can do better in terms of serving our customers, in terms of making the process more robust, in delivering better quality products, and be aligned to what actually customers and time. And I just wanted to thank Mr. Lulla in the beginning, because he gave so much insights on Mr. Bajaj. And I wish I was perhaps born about a couple of decades ago, so that I would have got perhaps an opportunity to work with the Missionary and such a great leader. But nevertheless, I think you guys are around. So thank you so very much for this. And just to tell you a brief about actually what insights we got from the this assessment. And the assessment was much better because it had a very varied background of assessors who actually came in for this. And primarily, if you see, what we try to do is, in fact, there are many things which actually came out. And in fact, one thing is leveraging the strengths which the organization has. Now, and we always keep our customers first. So wherever we keep, we deliver, as I mentioned, we deliver super delivery equipment with the end-to-end processes and very customized because they are every time is a unique one. So we actually do make equipment and solutions which entail a lot of these practices and business processes to be followed to making it more robust. We understood the need of being more diverse, the need of being more inclusive in terms of having a workforce which is pretty motivated and passionate about the work. And in fact, we actually have a survey which keeps on doing where we try to take, something which we call as one voice survey, where, the participation was in excess of 95% of the unit of about 450 people. And not to end here is we have to deliver competitive, we have to be competitive while being consistently in the top class quality. So we have to have special drivers who actually can control cost. We have to have increased targets for engineering, for other procurement optimizations. And these are all driven by processes. And processes are never something which you can say this is the last stage of the process. You always keep on areas of improvement. And this assessment certainly not only helped us to find one in various areas of the function, which in manufacturing to the pre-order to execution and post-order, but also actually helping us to align and evolve our strategy towards the next 5 years. That we are actually just rolling out the India strategy and also the global strategy, because we do solutions. About 30% of revenue is overseas, and we are trying to make over these two manufacturing hubs as a domain for India under Atmanirbhar Bharat, and also this as a hub for export. So thank you so very much for these two things. And a couple of things I wanted to share here in this forum, and on certain items which actually just emerged and we are trying to work is, one is, of course, the sustainability. Now we are trying to make, we have realized this, Government of India has realized this, we are pledged to be net emission zero by 2030. We are making all our offers which are sort of green, and there's something in the electrical industry which is known as REACH standards. We are already ROHS compliant. We are trying to make solutions which are towards safer, which are driving circular economies, because fortunately we are blessed by having a large installed base. So we are trying to work along on the lines of regenerating the life of the already installed equipment by customers. So aiding the circular economy. And one input which came, just to share with the assessors, and also not to mention, I'll forget Ms. Maya Desai. She was of great help in all this. And something which came out was as to how do we improvise and spread whatever you have actually found out, as you rightly mentioned, on one side is on the other manufacturing side. So there's a lot of digitalization which we are trying to do. We are trying to put robots on something which were mundane manual processes which are getting replaced by cognitive or non-cognitive robots. This we are developing at one unit and multiplying in another. So this is something which is a learning which has been found, and we are also trying to drive all the green solutions which are India is looking after, because 2030 is where, just to share with the forum here, we are talking about 450 gigawatt of solar defined by our Honorable Prime Minister. So, and a lot of items on the wind, because energy mix, as you all know, is going to change as we move in India. So we are trying to be, and since we are the ones who are driving the energy mix and also the energy management moving forward, so we are truly aligned and into this journey of being Atmanirbhar Bharat, and we are fully supported by the assessment which was done, which gave a lot of insights. Not to mention is the increasing the frequency of the customer satisfaction surveys. We used to do typically in 2 years, but I think it was suggested that we do more often. So that's something which we have taken on board. And just to end, Mr. Pradeep, just one thing I wanted to say, if possible, just a input from my side, because we get a band when we get assessed. So if we get a score, then I think perhaps it will be better, it will give better insights to improve upon that. Like we get 75 to 80, if we see that couple of areas lying at 75, the other one is lying at 79, perhaps we will give more focus on 75. So that's something on this. So happy to be here, very excited. Thank you so very much. And over to you, Mr. Pradeep. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. Singh, for your appreciation of what we have done for you. And at the same time, your suggestion that you've given in the end, let us just discuss among ourselves, and we certainly will get back about the scoring thing that you talked to us about. Thank you very much for joining us. We now move over to your colleague, Mr. Amit Kumar, Vice President and Business Unit Head, Metering and Protection Systems from your Mysore unit. May I request Mr. Amit Kumar to please share a few of your thoughts with us?
Yeah, good evening to all of you, and super excited to be here. And thanks to such an emotional introduction of Mr. Bajaj by his son, Mr. Neeraj Bajaj and Mr. Lulla. And I hope that our generation will work and see that we also equally contribute to all what our great forefathers of this country have done. It's really learning. We are all trying, and this is a new India, which I also keep on telling to my son and young graduate engineers who join us. As far as Mysore, we are in the manufacturing of meters. We manufacture all kinds of meters, and we are one of the global leaders in meter manufacturing. Of late, the finance ministry, the power ministry is talking of 250 million smart meter program, and we are one of the leaders on that journey. And we manufactured almost more than 1 crore meters in the financial year 19 before the COVID, and that makes us globally competitive. We also compete in terms of prices with China, and smart metering, just to mention, is one of the things which is in terms of technology, which is going to come in the next few years. And you will slowly see a new kind of meters in your respective residences. So, when we were all discussing, and though we were globally #1, but I strongly felt that there remains a culture change which needs to happen in the Mysore in terms of people, in terms of learning new things, in terms of what we can do more, because once you get satisfied in life, it does not end there. So we had an exposure through Mrs. Desai into the IMC Bajaj process, and we thought that let us participate. And it was one of the to have a more of an outsider perspective into what we were doing, to look at in a more focused way and in a more result-oriented approach in what we were trying to do, streamlining employee engagements. Because you see, we are an unit where the average age is almost 34 years, and we have around 28% female employees. But that is not the end of the road, because we want to move and become one day a 50% female employees in our company, and also maybe more participation in the work in the manufacturing area. So in that, like my colleague Uday was mentioning about the bands, I had spent some before this. When we got this award, we were Larsen and Toubro. Later on, on 1st September 20, we became a Schneider Electric company. But before that, I had spent almost 16 years in Tata Power, and there in the TBM journey, you have got these points, and there is always a fight among all the different Tata organizations to see that how you move up 750, 800. So I think that will be a great idea, because when we were put in a band, we were also not sure that how did we fare, what was our result. But we were pretty sure that some of the practices and the assessors told us, and we had a beautiful time with, we had very knowledgeable assessors who were sent to Mysore to assess our unit, and the way they worked, they said a lot of good things, but they also gave us a lot of good feedbacks. And over the last 2 years, I think it is more than 2 years now, we have got the award. But that assessment which happened, we tried to very obediently as a student follow that and learn from it. And that brought about a lot of changes. One was that we found that there was a lot of ground level innovations happening. We could see almost 40% increase in the ground level innovation. And there were a lot of employee empowerment in taking part in those innovative approach. That as a unit head gave me a lot of pressure that yes, a pleasure that this is what culture change we have brought. And we wanted to bring this into the DNA of the organization. It should be an everyday process, not that sometime in some months we do, some months we don't do. It is a process, and this is how a process-driven organization grows. And in this today, as Mr. Bajaj was explaining, that discipline is and should be in the everyday life. So if once you don't have discipline in an everyday life, you cannot grow. And that is what we wanted to bring about. And this also helped us in streamlining and gathering micro level data for improvements. That is very important, because ultimately, if you don't benchmark yourself, you don't see where you are, then you cannot improve. Of course, customer delight is one of the things, and all the 7 chapters spoke about it. And we did a lot of, post the survey, post the result, a lot of analysis that how we do, how we can improve. And definitely are going to participate again in RBNQA and see that we become one of the leaders there. And I hope that when we go for our next survey, we will have some new things, some new learning, that this is something which is new, like sustainability. We also want to become a carbon-free, carbon zero. And by 2050, we should be there. 2030 is our first target to become, in terms of vendors, suppliers, in terms of the byproducts, everything becomes carbon neutral. So these are on all the things which we are working on. And I am sure that working more with the RBNQA team, we will be able to do more. And my sincere thanks to the RBNQA team for coming to Mysore, because it's a long way. And we had, in fact, in between got 1 or 2 experts also visiting, which was well coordinated. And the way they handhold, I think it is not, like you were mentioning about the healthcare sector, Mr. Chakravarti, that after 7 years they came back, or 10 years they come back. But that is not the way it happens. It has to be a regular process. And once you are out, then the whole leadership thinking changes. And as the chapter 1 of this award says, that it is all starts at the leadership process, or chapter 3 where you deal with the HR, or chapter 7 the results. So every chapter of this process drives you in how you improve, and the way that it is interlinked, the way it is done. It's really a pleasure. And of course, some of them comes from the Malcolm Baldrige model or the TBM journey, which we have seen. But this is the way that it has been fit into the Indian kind of manufacturing. I'm really grateful that Mr. Bajaj and his team thought about this, that we should start it as a process. And I think that is great. And that speaks volumes of the way the leaders of our country has driven the manufacturing process, the industry. And I'm sure that in times to come, it has now moved to education sector, it has moved to healthcare, and some more sectors I know. I'm sure that in times to come, as it spreads more and the way it gets more matured, the Indian industry will learn a lot from the whole process. And I always say that it is process. That is the only way you can achieve a more customer delight. Thank you so much to all the participants this evening for joining us. I see more than 100, and once it went up to 140, that shows that people are really interested to participate, to learn. And thank you, Mr. Chennai, being a patient organizer. I know you have paucity of time, and that remains the immediate challenge for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Amit Kumar, for sharing your views, and we look forward to your participation in the years to come also. The next one in the manufacturing industry is Shri Digvijay Cement Company Limited. We were a winner of the IMC RBNQA Performance Excellence Trophy in 2019. Representing them today is Mr. Rajiv Nambiar, CEO and MD. May I request Mr. Nambiar to please share his thoughts with us?
Thank you, Pradeep sir. And it is an emotional moment for me because I am related to IC from my 2005 younger days. I have participated in IMC 2005, 6 and 7 and 2019 cycle. Earlier, I was associate ACC Cement during the first 3 cycles, and this with the BJ Cement cycle. I cannot leave few of the individuals actually who have made me to large contribution. And thank you, Mr. Neeraj Bajaj, in terms of promoting the excellence in the manufacturing sector. And one person whom I cannot forget is our Lulla sir actually. Probably I always used to think, what is my relation with us? And I equate it to the relation between an Eklavya and Dronacharya without my thumb in between. Probably he doesn't know actually what impact and profound impact he has created me as an individual, as a professional. In 2005, when one of my senior gave me the booklet of IMC Bajaj booklet, I never thought that actually that's going to be a life-changing event for my mental refinement. And the first cycle, when I was steered my days in ACC in one of the Karnataka facility, the first year we didn't get any mention anywhere. Again, in 2006, we appeared, I had a merit denomination, and with a vengeance in 2007, we assimilated everything. I think probably the performance excellence criteria or award was instituted for the first time. And in 2007, I took the trophy from Dr. Montek Singh Aliwalia. That is one of the finest and proudest moments in life in that large auditorium in Mumbai. One more mention is about Gita madam, who was absolutely showered us with a lot of love and affection and confidence for making us really roll and make things happen. And thanks to Maya also for driving us, not leaving me in spite. After she got into me proud 10 years and still chased me. I still fondly remember my days when from my churchgate office, I used to come to IMC office and sit in that library for probably hours together to see that the other industries, cross-industrial manuals, which are not allowed to be taken out, I read all those things sitting there and contributed value in my organization. Two very important saying, which is in fact influenced me, is basically about a good leader is supposed to be as tough as a diamond on principles and soft as compassion. This is one key thinking which I always try to develop and develop. And second thought was basically, with a lot of desire to achieve excellence and results faster, probably we destroy moments. So these are the two profound thoughts actually which has influenced me. I will explain actually, when you look at principle actually, but leadership, we are most of the time a very lonely journey. And in this lonely journey, who are going to be a companion? Our companions are going to be our principles. And those principles who have time and influence on you is going to be always on standing beside you. And second thing is, when you are forced to do or every point of life, you need to really excellence in whatever you do and produce the results. We need a vehicle to do that actually. And RBNQA rightly provided me, organization, whichever I worked, actually has given me the vehicle to do it. When I think about my journey, I think me as a driver or an organization as a driver with whichever vehicle we are traveling. And for the driver, it is a principle of thinking principle actually that is got refined with this long journey with RBNQA. And all these 7 pillars finally makes me roll over, has given me the rightest vehicle and excellence and most optimized vehicle. I still remember when Lulla sir talked about quality. Probably that has opened up rather a Pandora box or whatever box, from a simple quality to the cost of poor quality. In fact, I still used to say that even in best of the organization, there are large amount of, probably I think he has put a figure of 20 or 30 or 40% of the turnover is actually the cost of quality. We may never believed him, but during our journey of life, we still feel actually looking at a moment, at least we can at least spot on at least few of the quality which is lost, the cost of poor quality. And that made me find a professional in terms of looking at things in detail and make me a better individual. Another major challenge actually most of the professionals in larger organization or smaller organization faces. Like we always say that the commoditization of the product is a challenge. And we need to always do some innovations to make it relevant in the industry. I would say commoditization of the individual is another challenge, in the industry, where intercompeting individuals has to show that something is different in one individual compared to another individual. And I always face this difficulty whenever I dealt with a lot of colleagues around. And this is one very important change which IMC or RBNQA criteria award has brought in me in terms of making me differentiated in my thinking process. And that's a big actually fillip to me and my career and me as an individual, which RBNQA has given to me. And this 7 criteria has always put me, it is there in my prefrontal cortex. I don't even invite those 7 criteria. It comes to me automatically with my long association. And the moment a challenge or an opportunity comes, it comes directly with me. I immediately distribute into all the 7 criteria and see which criteria I'm fitting into it. And this is also like when I put in the 7 criteria and to get their excellence result the faster pace, I know which bucket I need to accelerate. Out of the 6 ones, which one actually I need to accelerate. And I'm pretty clear in my mind that it's not the 3rd one in this context, it will be the 4th one in this context, or the 3rd one in another context. So that refinement of the mind, which made me to become a challenger in my professional as well as personal career, and I owe everything actually to the way it has been brought out in RBNQA criteria. I did recently
So maybe we are little short of time now. May I request you to?
I'll just say. Yeah. I did recently an experiment with last cycle with a few of the very young colleagues actually who are just 1 or 2 years of organizational experience compared to when I jumped, I was almost 10 years experience organization. And I made them part of the whole criteria. I could see how they evolved within a short span of 1 year cycle and their thinking process changed. So this is one of the key criteria where if you really wanted to have a jump up in terms of your people's capability to be developed, this is a vehicle to be essentially traveled multiple times, not 1 or 2 times, multiple times.
That's great.
It gave me also a large differentiation in terms of what is quality from a simple product quality, which normally believe to process to thinking to networking and even to relation building quality. And probably if you ask me what is RBNQA criteria for me, it could be something like Gita, Bible or Quran for me, where I can really hang on to see that actually there is a mental peace within me and I can do that. And in my professional life, actually, where I could participate and make a lot of organizational turnaround. And this is one of the key criteria, all the 7 criteria. Everybody wants basically results. Many times when the organizations, I was given an opportunity to shut some of the organizations, I was able to turn it around only because of the strength of these 7 criteria. And the principle, the ladder to reach the result and the differentiation which I could create compared to the surrounding what I'm in. These are the 3 things I would always say. This is what IMC RBNQA given to me. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Mr. Nambiar, for being with us today, and we really appreciate your comments and the thoughts that you shared with us. And we look forward to your participation in the years to come also, whether you're working for this organization or some other organization, like you have said earlier.
Thank you, sir.
Well, let's move from manufacturing to service industry. Because as we all know, service industry also is as important as manufacturing, particularly in the recent years. We have with us Mr. R. Shankar, CEO of TVS Supply Chain Solutions Limited, Chennai, winner of IMC RBNQA Certificate of Merit for the year 2018. Mr. Shankar, may I request you to please share your thoughts with us?
Thank you, Mr. Chennai and Shri Neeraj-ji, Shri Suresh Lulla ji, and other members on the eminent panel of IMC RBNQA and audience today. It's a great privilege to be presenting on behalf of TVS Supply Chain Solutions our experiences in this journey. Let me give you a quick brief introduction about our organization. We are the 2nd largest company in the TVS group. We had $1 billion of revenues, and we are present in all over the world. North America, 18 countries in Europe, 14 countries in Asia Pacific, and also in India, India being our headquarters. Only 30 to 35% of our revenues come from India, and the balances are overseas operations. We are an end-to-end supply chain solutions company, so we do anything from moving material from sources of production.
Shankar, your voice is cracking for some reason. Can you come near?
Yeah. Is it okay now? Yeah.
Now it is better, yes.
Yeah, we move material from sources of manufacture to sources of supply to sources of manufacturing. We move material within sources of manufacturing, and then we move material to sources of consumption. That's the business we are in. Moving on to why the need for an organizational performance improvement, if I were to take that as a step back, I think today the customer expectations keep changing. There is a huge demand for value from everyone that we are associated with. Knowledge of employees and knowledgeable employees are very difficult to find. Talent is a scarce commodity. Competition is fierce, and technology and data is becoming increasingly complex and increasingly important for our business. Also, we are getting disruption from startups and disruption from even larger organizations. So when you have all these business challenges, evolving ourselves into an organization which continuously keeps changing and continuously keeps innovating and stays on top in delivering value to our customer, I think a business model becomes very, very important for us to adopt, and that's what we have done. And this business model especially is a very comprehensive business model. This is not prescriptive, and this also talks about our own quality tools, our own improvement journey, and it also helps us in, it cuts across categories from manufacturing, healthcare, we've seen educational institutions, we've seen service industry, etc. So it's a very comprehensive model, and it's not necessarily that you have to be a large organization to adapt and use it. So that way, this business model has really helped us shape our journey into why we want to be in the constant upgradation curve of our business process. For lack of time, let me be a little bit shorter than what I would have otherwise been. So some of the benefits, if I were to straight go into, I think this is a very, very important tool for self-assessment before we get into the assessment outside. It has also enabled our people in actually filling up the form and in also looking at how do we look at our own organization, look at data. And most of us are very, it's very easy for most organizations to adapt to any operational data or any data which is financial. But the holistic approach of looking at data, benchmarking ourselves and setting ourselves target to improve, I think this business model is drastically helped us. Our team had a great experience. The assessment team came in. They gave us great insights, great valuable learning we had, and they were able to tell us about how we could kind of what we are good at and what are opportunities where we could improve. And that learning and sharing helped the team better and improve ourselves in the future years. I would like to call out a few organizational breakthroughs that we have kind of gone through in the last 3 years, if I were to take that as a time frame. And this business model adoption, winning this award, way of life for us, has definitely helped us in achieving these organizational breakthroughs. The first one is, of course, process excellence. During the assessment, we were in the process of integrating an acquisition that we had acquired. Process framework, which was taken as an organization. As an organizational, I think I have some connection problem. Am I better now?
Connection problems. We can hear you, but not very clearly.
Am I a little bit better now?
Yeah, a little better now, yes.
Okay, let me try my best, or I will cut short. So one was the process excellence model, which definitely helped us a lot in terms of one of the breakthrough benefits that we had. Technology became a very key driver for improving our customer acquisition and for service delivery to our customer. And this was possible in a big manner from being a service enabling organization. We are changing ourselves to a technology-enabled service delivery organization. So that's the second breakthrough that we have had, and we feel that that breakthrough helped us because of the assessment and the way we set ourselves in improving our performance. The third one is, of course, visibility of key metrics, and we digitized the entire metrics. We had a framework where we got the operating metrics, and we took a lot of lead measures, which if we were able to track and take corrective actions, our outcome measures will be what we had contracted with our customer or what are for our internal process improvements or for our financial metrics. Another important initiative which took was in the area of ESG. we took a very significant improvement in this area because, like many of my co-panelists spoke about, how people want to become, net zero in the next 10 years. We've not taken a target asset for ourselves as of when we will do, but we are focusing a lot more on this. Voice of customer became a very important aspect in service business because immediately we are able to capture the feedback. We set up actually a customer satisfaction cell which live tracks what our customers are talking about us, and there are very electronic methods through which we get feedback from the customer, and it comes right up to the top management and we are able to act. And last but not the least, our organizational learning framework improved quite a bit. We have a digital learning management system and a knowledge portal, and all these 5 or 6 organizational benefits that I spoke about right now, I think the core of this started from our ability, our intention to become part of this business excellence model, our holistically looking at this approach to improving our business performance, and the document guided us into taking these initiatives which are giving us business benefits regularly. So this has been an excellent journey, thanks to the team, and I'm sure we will continue our association with this model, and because we feel that we have had significant business breakthroughs because of this model, and we will live by it in the years to come. Thank you very much to the IMC team for giving me an opportunity, and real apologies about this bad connectivity that we have today.
That's perfectly all right, Mr. Shankar. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we really appreciate your sentiments and the thought that you expressed about us, and we look forward to having your participation in the years to come also. The last one on the list is, of course, one of the important ones, the media. The media is the one, as they always say, pen is mightier than the sword. We have with us Mr. Manish Sinha, Assistant Vice President, Bennett Coleman and Company Limited, winner of the IMC RBNQA Performance Excellence Trophy for the year 2019. My apologies for you being the last, but I think you are the media one, so you can analyze exactly what everybody has spoken also. Please go ahead, Mr. Sinha.
Thank you, Mr. Chennai, and good evening, Mr. Suresh Lulla, Mr. Neeraj Bajaj, Ms. Maya, IMC RBNQA team, and the distinguished guests. I represent Bennett Coleman and Company Limited, more popularly known as the Times Group, and we are just 183 years young organization. And more interestingly is our product, which is highly perishable in a physical form and everlasting if it is in the form of an opinion, which forms and reforms all of us, in our daily life, all around. With IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Award, it has been a wonderful, great learning experience all across. The entire journey gave us an opportunity to reflect back onto our processes from the excellence perspective and tune it to make it even more relevant, in our way we conduct our business. Highlight was the feedback report, and which basically came at the end of the process and helped us identifying opportunities specifically in the domain of workforce and customer engagement. Basis the feedback, we strengthened our processes and initiatives involving not only our employees but also the families through multiple events, programs such as 5S at Home and others, which brought us all, even closer than we were before. The direct impact we saw was during the pandemic times, when it was critical time and very testing times for all of us, and we could ensure timely medical support and uplift the sentiments and the morale of our people, while we kept delivering our product every day with pride of better quality and higher productivity. Because it was testing time for all of us, and every day we printed. And this process, also enhanced our focus from being, on being consumer centric, which earlier primarily was on, customer, which was earlier primarily was customer oriented. We believed that we need to develop our innovations and products, engaging our consumers to a greater level through many initiatives we launched after what we have been having a learning through this IMC process, such as Shot of Hope, Trust of India, Halla Bol, where we not only established physical connect, but also through print and digital confluence. We were able to deliver credible, curated content to our readers, which turned very useful during this pandemic area, as this changed our habits of consuming news substantially. In fact, not only news, our habits have changed substantially in all phases of our life. It has been very satisfying association with IMC RBNQA, and I'm very thankful to our eminent auditors and jury to add value to our process and suggest improvement, helping us emerge even stronger than what we were before. Thank you, IMC RBNQA. Thank you, Mr. Lulla. Thank you, Mr. Bajaj, and thanks everybody for a wonderful excellence model, and it's really helping us a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sinha, for joining us today and sharing your experiences with us. We assure you that what your experiences are going to teach us also a lot, and in future, we are going to improve in our methods and processes that we are adopting at RBNQA also. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this almost brings to an end to the panel session that we have. On behalf of IMC and RBNQA, I would like to thank each and every one of you 8 panelists who are here today for sparing your valuable time with us and sharing all the experiences that you have with RBNQA and how it has helped you in improving the performances at your own organizations. Of course, Mr. Lulla, who is Ace of Spade, as we call him, as far as RBNQA is concerned, is always going to be proud of all he has done for all of you and to many other organizations. With these few words, I once again thank you all and wish you all the very best, and may God bless you all. Over to you, Maya.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Before we end this session, we would like to present as a token of our appreciation certificates to all the panel members for their valuable time and great inputs and learnings that they have shared with all of us. So we will present the first certificate to Mr. Manish Sinha, Assistant Vice President, Bennett Coleman and Company Limited. Thank you so much, sir. We move on to Mr. Rajiv Nambiar, CEO and MD, Shri Digvijay Cement Company, for his participation.
Thank you.
And Mr. Uday Singh, Vice President, ESC, Electrical. And Dr. Palani Sami, Principal, Bannari Amman Institute of Technology. Mr. Amit Kumar, Vice President and Business Unit Head, Metering and Protection Systems, Mysore. Mr. Atul Taimurnikar, Chairman and Co-Founder, Global Indian Education Private Limited, Global Indian International School. Mr. R. Shankar, CEO, India TVS Supply Chain Solutions Limited, Chennai. Mr. Joy Chakrabarti, COO, PD Hinduja Hospital and Medical Research Center. I will now request Mr. Neeraj Bajaj to please present a certificate of appreciation to our wonderful moderator, Mr. Pradeep Chennai, Director, XAD India Limited and Trustee, IMC RBNQA Trust. I request, sir.
Thank you, Pradeep, and appreciate your role as moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Pradeep, sir, for your wonderful coordination.
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Okay, now I move on to the last component of our program. I request Mr. Anand Singhania, Vice President, IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to please present a vote of thanks. Mr. Singhania.
Thank you. Very good evening to everyone here, starting with our President, Mr. Zuzar Khorakiwala, Mr. Neeraj Bajaj, Mr. Suresh Lulla, Mr. Pradeep Chennai, senior members of the Bajaj family, distinguished panel members, guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I have great pleasure in proposing the vote of thanks at the inaugural IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj Memorial Lecture on his 98th birth anniversary. This has been a memorable occasion, befitting the stature of Shri Bajaj and his contribution to the Indian business community. Excellence in thought and spirit has been showcased through the inspiring lecture of our quality guru, Mr. Suresh Lulla. His lecture titled Vision of a Visionary, Mission of a Missionary encapsulates the great leader, Shri Ramkrishna Bajaj's principles of integrity and professional ethics. Even in adversity, he enriched himself by learning Valmiki's Ramayana and Gita. He was an inspiration for all, and his vision and stories continue to inspire us to this day. Being related to the Bajaj family, I have personally witnessed austerity and adherence to the Gandhian values by all the family members over the years. The panel discussion titled IMC RBNQA Model Adoption Lessons Learned, moderated by our own Pradeep Bhai, gave a great insight to the journey of excellence that organizations took on while participating in the process. We heard the 8 panelists talking with so much passion about the process, how it has, changed their way of looking at things, how they have been, they have improved in their thing, and how I think one of the panelists said that you have to keep revisiting this year after year or after a couple of years to just get involved in it. The IMC RBNQA performance holistic model covers all aspects of the organization, right from the top leadership to the focus on the customer, the workforce, operations is self-assessed by the organization. The strong contingent of examiners with cross-industry experience presents organizations with a lot of inputs that help them to improve their processes. I take this opportunity to thank the Bajaj Group and the members of the Indian Merchant Chambers who have generously contributed to the corpus of this trust. Needless to say, this is a very worthy cause for all those who are dedicated to quality and excellence. I am particularly grateful to, like our moderator said, the Ace of Spades, Mr. Lulla, for his inaugural address, to Mr. Bajaj for sharing his memories with his late father and all those inspiring stories, to the moderator, Mr. Chennai, and all the panelists for sharing their journeys and commitments to quality. I thank the press and the media for their support and for covering our events. And I also take this opportunity to thank each of you for joining us today towards the journey of excellence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your vote of praise. Thank you. Okay, so with this, we end the session. And thank you all for your valuable participation. Thank you, Bajaj, sir. Thank you,
Thank you,
Pradeep.
Maya. Thank you, everybody else.
Thank
And
you.
it was really a wonderful experience for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good
So
night,
we will
Thank
be
you very
everybody.
much.
Yeah,
Good
we'll be
night.
sending a feedback form to all. So I request you to take time out to send us your feedback. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.